The movie kicks off with the young man named Greg and his girlfriend Heather. They're heading to the marina for a boat trip. Turns out they're on a tourist adventure and want to rent a boat so they can go diving and see some sharks. When they arrive, they meet an old man named Dave, who tells them he's a friend of Ticker, the guy who owns the boat they're renting. But Dave warns them about trips like this, saying the last guy who went on one got bitten by a shark and died.
Suddenly, Ticker shows up. He greets them and asks if anyone knows they're here. They explain they're just visiting the city as tourists and no one knows they're out on this trip. Ticker oddly says that's the smartest thing they've done. He takes them to the boat and sets sail. While they're at sea, Ticker tells them how he was bitten by a shark as a kid and shows them a huge scar on his back. Heather feels for him and asks if there's anyone in his life. He replies he's always been alone. Eventually, they reach a specific spot in the ocean. Shark tosses some bait into the water to attract sharks. Greg notices Heather is nervous about going into the water, but Ticker talks her through breathing exercises to calm her down.
He then puts them in a metal cage and lowers them into the water. Sharks surround them and Heather panics, breathing heavily. Greg holds her hand, reassuring her until she relaxes and starts enjoying the view. After a while, they get back on the boat, happy and excited, saying it was an amazing experience. But suddenly, Ticker pulls a knife from his pocket and stabs Greg, throwing his body into the sea. He turns to Heather with a terrifying look and welcomes her to the boat. She screams in terror.
Meanwhile, in another part of town, a girl named Zaffy is leaving the supermarket. She meets a guy named Moose who asks for a jump start for his car. She agrees to help and walks with him. On the way, they talk. He's a real estate agent. She's a nomadic traveler who lives out of her car with no family or home. When they get to his car, they realize they both love surfing. There's chemistry between them. They go to Moose's place, spend the night together, and he seems happy to have her there. But while he prepares dinner, Zaffy quietly leaves. As she's walking, she notices the waves are high and decides to go surfing, but she forgot the key to her gearbox. While looking for something to open it with, Ticker shows up and offers her a key she can use. He asks why she's alone. She replies she's always been on her own. He wishes her a good time and walks away. Just then, Moose texts her asking where she is. She says she's at the beach and going into the water. He asks if he can join her. She replies, "The ocean is for everyone." Suddenly, Ticker appears from behind and chokes her until she passes out. He tapes her mouth, throws her into his car, and takes her to his boat. The next day, Moose arrives at the beach looking for Zaffy, but can't find any sign of her. He calls her phone and hears it ringing in her car. He gets worried and tries to report her missing, but since he doesn't know her full name or address, having only met her 12 hours ago, the police can't help. He gives them her description, and they promise to put out a notice. Meanwhile, Zaffy wakes up chained to a bed, terrified. She screams and realizes Heather is in the bed next to her, also chained. Heather tells her they're being held hostage by Ticker, who is mentally unstable and brutally killed her friend in front of her.
Zaffy tries to find something to unlock the cuffs and finally spots a thin wire. Just then, Ticker enters with food and water. It's a hot day, and they both drink everything quickly. Once he leaves, Heather passes out. Zaffy starts feeling dizzy too. Ticker returns, smirking, and tells her the water was drugged. He takes the wire from her and tells her he enjoys prey that resists. Zaffy blacks out and wakes up tied to a chair on the deck. Heather is chained nearby. Ticker sets up a camera and aims it at the ocean. He cuts a lock of Heather's hair and uses a winch to lift her over shark-infested waters. Slowly, he lowers her in. Heather screams in terror, and Zaffy pleads for him to stop. But Ticker ignores her and records as the sharks devour Heather. After Heather dies, Ticker locks Zaffy in a room, then celebrates his achievement by drinking and dancing. He stores Heather's hair and the videotape in a cabinet filled with other tapes. The next day, Ticker brings Zaffy food. She kicks it away, calling him a sick man. He just smiles and tells her he loves sharks and needs to keep feeding them. After he leaves, Zaffy notices a bucket on the floor.
She breaks off the handle and sharpens it into a weapon. Later, Ticker returns with a syringe full of sedative. As he approaches, Zafy stabs him in the neck with the makeshift weapon. He falls, hits his head, and passes out. She grabs the cuff key and frees herself, but when she tries to take his knife, he wakes up and grabs her hand. She hits him and runs, making it up to the deck. Ticker chases her and manages to inject her with the sedative, but she fights back and keeps going. She reaches the control cabin and tries to contact the Coast Guard, but the radio is broken. She sees a ship nearby and screams for help. Just as the sedative kicks in, Ticker appears. She grabs the camera to defend herself, but he demands she give it back. She throws it into the ocean and jumps in too.
She swims as fast as she can before losing consciousness. Ticker uses a hook to pull her back on board. The next day, rescue teams are searching for Zafy. Moose starts thinking and remembers a surfing app that tracks wave activity across beaches. He checks it and sees Zafy's car, then Ticker's on the same road. He looks up Ticker's boat rental company and calls him, asking if he saw Zafy last night, but the phone is off. Moose heads to the marina to confront Ticker himself. Ticker, now angry, returns to the dock, ignoring Dave, and buys a new camera to replace the one Zafy threw. Moose finds Ticker's boat and knocks, but no one answers. Then he hears something from below deck. It's Zafy trying to free herself. He breaks a window, finds the room, and is shocked to see her. She tells him she's been kidnapped and begs him to call the police. Moose runs to the deck to get a signal. Suddenly, Ticker appears, knocks him down, and grabs the phone, ending the call. He goes to hit Moose, but Moose fights back. Just as Ticker starts to choke him, Dave enters, but Ticker kills him with the hook. Moose wakes up chained to a bed beside Zafy. She asks if he called the cops, but he apologizes for failing. She thanks him anyway. Ticker enters and drugs them both. When they wake, they're tied to the deck. He cuts Moose's hair and uses the winch to lift him above the water. Sharks circle below. Moose panics, but Zafina tells him to stay calm and still so the sharks won't attack. It works. They swim away. Ticker, frustrated, stabs Moose to make him bleed. As the blood hits the water, the sharks become aggressive. But before Ticker can lower Moose, he hears a plane and quickly hides them. Zafina looks at Moose, unconscious and bleeding, and feels guilty for dragging him into this. She breaks her own finger trying to escape the cuffs. When that fails, she bites it off completely. Ticker returns to drug her, but finds the bed empty. Zafina surprises him, locks him in the room, and rushes to the control cabin to steer the boat to safety. But Ticker disables the boat's power. Zafy spots a nearby island and grabs a flare to send an SOS. Ticker attacks, but she escapes to the kitchen, tries to break a window to escape, but her clothes get stuck. Ticker pulls her back and tries to stab her, but she hits him with a frying pan and stabs him with the broken handle. She jumps into the water and swims toward the island. Ticker follows in a small boat, catches her on the shore, and suffocates her until she passes out. Zafy wakes up hanging from the winch again. Moose is chained to a chair, terrified for her. A massive shark appears. Ticker says this is the moment he's been waiting for. He lowers Zafy into the water, filming her. When the shark approaches, she kicks it away. Ticker grabs a spear and attacks the shark to provoke it, but the shark grabs the spear and pulls him into the water. Zafy uses the moment to hook the spear to the winch and climbs up. Ticker watches in delight as she suffers, filming her again, but she suddenly cuts the rope and falls into the water, face to face with the giant shark. She stays still and it swims away. Zafy climbs back onto the boat and surprises Ticker, shooting him in the chest with a harpoon. He falls into the water, desperately trying to swim back, but the shark leaps out and rips him in half. Zafy films him just like he did to his victims. As the shark drags away what's left of Ticker, Zafy gets caught in a rope and is pulled into the sea. Moose, panicking, watches helplessly until Zafy resurfaces, having freed herself. She sees Ticker's corpse, swims back to the boat, and tries to wake up Moose. A passing ship appears. Zafy lights a flare and waves for help. The ship sees her and comes to rescue them. She rushes back to Moose, begging him to stay alive because she loves him. He wakes up and says he loves her too. And that's how the movie ends.